back, guys. So way back in October, I was supposed to have a special guest help me make a cheesecake. And she got sick, and her kid got sick, and her husband got sick, and they had a whole house of sickness. So that kind of sucks. But she promised me she would be here for a Christmas video, and she is. Hi. So Genevieve is gonna be here to help me today, and this was her recipe. It was her choice, just like the cheesecake was her choice. So what are we making today?
Christmas log.
A Christmas log, also known as a Yule log, and what is it in French?
Bûche De Noël.
Oh, okay. I can't pronounce that. So that's what we're gonna try and make today. Neither one of us has ever made one, so we're looking forward to this. So, ready to start baking?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so the first part of our recipe is to get the egg whites ready. So we have 6 eggs that are at room temperature, and we are going to separate them. The whites are going to go into our mixer bowl, the yolks into a separate bowl, and you're going to keep those yolks because we are using them in another part of this recipe. So get your yolks and your whites all separated, and I did make a little mistake and I dropped the whole egg into the whites. I just picked out the yolk. It was totally fine. Just a little oops on my part. So once you have them separated, you're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. You're going to put your whisk attachment onto your mixer, and you are going to start whipping these egg whites, okay? So once they're whipping and they're starting to get fluffy, then you're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to it, and you are going to whisk those egg whites and whip them all up until they are glossy and form stiff peaks. We did stop the mixer once to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then we let it keep whipping. Now that it's done, the egg whites are glossy, they form stiff peaks, so they're done whipping. We're going to put this into a separate bowl. We're going to wash out the mixer bowl, and then we're moving on to the next part of this recipe. In our clean mixing bowl, we are now going to take those 6 egg yolks that we had set aside, and we're going to put them in the bowl. We are going to start mixing them, and as they are mixing, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. And our mistake is we put the paddle on when we should have put the whisk on. So we changed it, and we should have just had the whisk on this entire time. And we're going to whip these eggs until they change color. They're also going to almost double in size, and they're going to become fluffier. While our egg yolks are mixing, Genevieve is going to get our dry ingredients ready. So in a separate bowl, she is putting 3/4 cups of flour, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. She's going to give that all a mix, and then she's going to set it aside. So as you can see, as Genevieve scrapes down the sides of the bowl, our egg yolks have changed color, and they've also doubled in volume. So now she's going to turn the mixer back on. While it's mixing, she's going to add a 1/4 cup of strong brewed coffee, which is at room temperature. Then she's going to let it mix for a minute, and she's also going to add 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And again, let it mix. Alright, we're now ready to add our dry ingredients into our egg mixture. So Genevieve is adding a little bit at a time and letting it mix. Then she's going to remove it from the mixer, scrape down the sides of the bowl, put it back on the mixer, let it mix until it's incorporated. Then she's going to finish it by hand. She's just going to take it off and mix it by hand for, 10 seconds to a minute, just to make sure it's all incorporated. Our next step is mixing in our egg whites. Genevieve is doing a few scoops of egg whites at a time, mixing it just until it's all incorporated. This part is done by hand so that the egg whites don't get over mixed. Once it's all incorporated, we're going to put it into a large sheet pan. We've already put parchment paper in it, and then we use some melted butter and poured it on the parchment paper. Then we're going to pour our cake batter over the parchment paper and very gently spread it out to reach all the edges. You're going to gently tap it down to try and get some of the air bubbles out. Give it a little shake to make sure it's all even. Then you're going to pop it into the oven, and your oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to bake it for about 10 to 12 minutes. And it should come out kind of tacky and have a little bit of a spring to it, like it should bounce back. Try not to overbake it because it will crack when we start to roll it. While your cake is cooling, you're going to take a cooling rack, cover it with a clean tea towel, and then you're going to put icing sugar all over the tea towel. And you're going to put enough on there because you don't want your cake to stick to it. Once your tea towel's ready, you're going to go get your cake. You're going to flip it over onto your tea towel. And then you're going to very gently pull the pan off of your cake. And then remove the parchment paper. Once you've done that, you're going to take more powdered sugar and you're going to cover the whole cake with it. This is just to help it from sticking to the tea towel and to itself as you roll it. Now you are going to gently roll your cake with the tea towel, but you're going to roll it as tightly as you can without squishing the cake or breaking it. Just roll it up in the tea towel, okay? In the tea towel. Now you're going to take your rolled cake and you're going to put it in the fridge for an hour. While our cake is cooling in the fridge, we're going to make the filling. So we're creaming together 4 ounces of cream cheese with a half a cup of powdered sugar. As that's mixing, we are then going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, give it a good mix, scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then we're going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. So don't forget to change from your paddle to your whisk attachment because we did forget. So once you switch that, let it whip up until it basically looks like whipped cream. Alright, so we took the cake out of the fridge. It's been in there for an hour. We've unrolled it. Now we're going to use our filling and put the filling all over the cake, and we are going to roll it back up again. Spread your filling out as even as you can. Try and leave a little space around the edges just so it doesn't squish out, I guess. Anyway, put your filling in and you're going to tightly roll your cake back up. Once your cake is rolled, you are then going to roll it in some parchment paper, and you're also going to wrap it very tightly with some plastic wrap or saran wrap, whatever you want to call it, plastic wrap. And we did 2 layers of plastic wrap just to make sure we got it as tight as we could. Then it goes into the fridge for about 2 hours. We actually put it in the freezer just to make it a little quicker. So I think we had it in the freezer for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then about a half hour in the fridge. So it is now ready. So we remove it from the plastic wrap and the parchment paper, and we are going to display it on a really nice cutting board. I would have a nicer one. I'm just waiting for my husband to make it for me. All right, so we are going to make this look like a tree branch. So we're going to cut it diagonally, and we're only cutting like, about 1/3 of it, if that. And we're going to place it to kind of look like a tree branch. Then we're going to just clean it up. I'm going to trim off a little bit of the edges so that it looks like a fresh cut. And then we are ready to get our ganache ready. For the ganache, we are using 12 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. We are using chocolate chips instead of a bar of chocolate or like a brick of chocolate. Chocolate chips are easier, and it was in the perfect amount. So you put your chocolate chips in a bowl, you get 3/4 cups of heavy whipping cream ready, and 1 tablespoon of light corn syrup. You're going to put the whipping cream and the corn syrup into a pot over the stove, and you are going to bring it to a simmer. As soon as it is simmering, you're going to pour it over top of the chocolate chips. You're going to leave it just as it is for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, then you're going to start stirring your chocolate and your whipping cream until it is well combined and smooth, and it turns into chocolate ganache. Alright, so our chocolate ganache is ready. So we're going to pour it over top of our Yule Log, and we are going to start spreading it around, making it as even as we can, also as thick as we can. We want to make sure we have a good covering on it. It is going to make a mess, but that can all be cleaned up after. So once you put it all on, you spread it all around, you cover everything, and it looks like you've got a nice thick layer on. Then we're going to make it look like a tree branch. So to make this look like the bark on a tree branch, we're taking a fork or 2 forks, and we're just kind of pulling it through the ganache and scraping it along the Yule Log to make it look like bark. Then we're going to decorate it with a sprig of rosemary, which we poured some vodka over it and then dusted it with some powdered sugar so that it looks like it's all snow covered. And we're going to use some pomegranate seeds. You could also use cranberries. And then we're going to just take a little powdered sugar and dust it so it looks like it has had a gentle snowfall on it.
Oh, all right, you guys, we're all done, and I am so impressed. Like, this is amazing. I don't think it was really that hard to make.
No, it was really easy. More easy than we thought.
Yes, yeah, it was easier than we thought. I think what was hard was the waiting. Waiting after we rolled the cake, had to wait for an hour in the fridge, and then we had to put the cream in it, roll it again. It says to let it sit for 2 hours in the fridge. We actually put it in the freezer just to make it a little quicker. But it did the job, it worked, it's cooled, it's not falling apart, so we're good.
Yeah, so beautiful.
It is so beautiful. I can't wait to take pictures. So Genevieve is gluten-free. Unfortunately, we did not make this one gluten-free, but we will for Christmas dinner. We'll make a gluten-free one for her. But I get to try it at least. So we cut off just tiny little pieces to try. And they are delicious. And I had told her earlier,
If you taste the coffee, the chocolate, it's like a mocha cake.
yeah, it's like a mocha. It's delicious and amazing, and I kind of wish I wasn't allergic to it so I could actually eat it. But again, we're gonna make a vanilla one for Christmas. So this recipe is fantastic. Give it a try. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thanks for the invite.
And we'll definitely do this again. Not necessarily this recipe. We will do this again. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell. And this video is coming out on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas!
Happy holidays!
Oh, and Joyeux
Noël!
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Everybody have a good holiday, and we'll see you for the next video.
Okay, bye. Bye.